All right, let's talk about Deshaun Watson, and we're just talking about Deshaun Watson on the football field in this video. I've done plenty of talking about the off the field stuff. If you want to search around my channel and find my thoughts on all that, but yeah, on the field, basically, simply put, it's been kind of a weird run that he's had, right? I mean, he was really good the last we saw for Houston, but then since then it hasn't quite worked out as well. If we look at his box score stats in it's 6 years in the league, there is obviously that 2021 year where he kind of sat out the whole year due to just the investigation and all that stuff. You see that there was really good numbers for the first 4 seasons when he was in Houston. Passer rating of 98 or better each year, with his career high passer rating 112.4 with a 33 touchdowns to 7 interception ratio. Since then, the box score numbers have not been very good whatsoever. Career high passer rating of 84 with the Cleveland Browns in the 2 years he's been there. Obviously not a massive sample size either year, but it is what it is. Joe Flacco, to put it into perspective, had a passer rating of over 90 last season. So when you're getting outperformed by Joe Flacco, it's not ideal, but there's a lot more that goes into passer rating than just that. So we can look at other stats. If we look at his Pro Football Focus grades, you also see a pretty big dip. Again, really good grades in 2020, 92.4, which is by far a career high. And maybe you could argue that is that year a bit of an anomaly? Is he ever going to be getting grades in the 90s again? I don't know. But at the very least, even a grade above 80, that's still a really valuable quarterback. However, in 2022 and 2023, once again, not very good. 2022 was disastrous. 2023 was passable, still not fantastic though. And when I watched film, that's kind of a lot of what I saw was some good and some bad. It was very inconsistent. In fact, if we go over to his game-by-game grades, you see a lot of similar stuff, which is, some good, some bad. The horrible graded game was week 7, but that was only 12 snaps, so wouldn't really pay too much attention to that. But yeah, the other stuff you see that, some quality games, like a game where he had a 78.5 grade, which again still isn't what you're paying for, but is at least quality. So let's get into the film and talk about my thoughts when watching film on what he's doing right now. What are the good and what are the bad with him? So first, let's start off with something like this, where you see the concept on the screen and how it can work. It's against zone coverage. These plays tend to be pretty good, be able to get gain you 5 yards on a 3rd down and 3, which is what you need. And we really would see flashes of Watson doing stuff like this, where when this play begins, you're going to see that he looks downfield and doesn't love what he sees. That's a route that he's looking at, but doesn't want to put the ball in that direction here. But this is the flashes of Houston Deshaun Watson. We'll watch him step up in the pocket, is able to find some room, and while everyone thinks he's about to run with the football right here, he instead runs a little bit just to get the Cardinal player out of the way, flips it to his halfback, who picks up a ton more yards and then takes a huge hit toward the end there, but you pick up a 1st down on 3rd down and 3. I think the off-script stuff, the scrambling, all that kind of stuff has been pretty good. Although, to be honest, a lot of what I saw when he was with Cleveland was stuff like this, where this is a 3rd down and 9. It's a zone coverage play, and this isn't a bad play or a good play. I mean, I guess it's a good play. You're going to see him take the snap, looks further down the field right here, and, doesn't love what he sees. And again, I watch all 22, although I usually just use broadcast footage for my videos because people tend to like watching this angle more. And when watching the all 22, you would see a lot of times when he's looking down the field, not pushing the ball in tight windows, not taking chances. I do think part of why the offense ran better with him was Flacco wasn't afraid to throw the ball up to Amari Cooper sometimes. But here, Watson decides to take the check down, and the check down works. They pick up a 1st down. It's like, hey, it worked. Like, the Browns' offense was pretty good. Doing this was a pretty effective strategy, but certainly it wasn't a dominant strategy by any means. That's kind of how I felt, and especially when you factor on some of the negatives. For example, this one, which again is not going to be the fanciest plays. It's eventually going to be the halfback's check down route. That's where Watson is going to, eventually look towards. When this play begins, it's, open. I mean, wide open. On a 2nd down and 20, you'd like to be able to gain some yards here. Probably isn't going to get you that close to the first down marker here, but hey, if you make it a 3rd and 13, that at least gives you a chance. But Watson's going to throw this one off balance, and he misses the throw. Still maybe a catchable ball, but you don't want to just make a catchable ball. You want to give it to your running back who can potentially run after the catch and gain more yards that way. The reality is, Watson's never been the most accurate quarterback. That was kind of his issue in Houston, even though it wasn't a massive one. But he's really just missed a lot of throws since coming over to Cleveland. Like this one's another one where, and this is the key play, where it's a 4th down and 3 right here. You see, zone coverage, you see the route and how it could get open, but probably one you're going to have to throw quickly as it might not be open for that long. Here, Watson takes the snap. He is going to look over, and right here, I mean, this is open. There is an Arizona Cardinal player just off screen, kind of on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, who can run over and make a play. So Watson has to get the ball there in a hurry, but this is, for a 4th down and 3, a good situation. However, again, this throw is just a bit off, and it results in an incompletion. I mean, these are things that you see, and these are tough misses, especially for a guy who, again, the goal is for Watson is not for him to be a decent quarterback. The goal is for him to be a superstar level quarterback. That's what they're paying for, and they're not getting it. So is it fair to say that that's because of Deshaun Watson that they're being so cautious? I mean, obviously that's an easy conclusion to jump to, but I don't know if it's fully fair. In fact, it actually might be more of a Flacco thing. Flacco pretty much at this point is just a big arm. So why wouldn't you steer into that? Which I think is I think it says more about Flacco than Watson, to be honest. I wouldn't take too much away from it, but a little bit away from it. I do think that, in general, Watson hasn't been pushing the ball down the field. Seems like they're coaching him not to push the ball down the field. And I think you got to take those training wheels off. And if I'm in the Browns coaching staff next year, that's what I'm doing, is that's how I'm approaching things. Because for Watson, I'm not going to sit here and say he was unplayable. I think 2 years ago he was unplayable. Last year, he just wasn't good, which is a step up. And hopefully, if you're a Browns fan, he can get up to being good. But to be honest, if he is good next year, that's still not enough. He needs to be, honestly, not even just great. He needs to be spectacular to be worth his contract. He's getting paid like the top guys in the league. He has to play like a top guy in the league, and he hasn't even really gotten close. Even the flashes I talk about, the best games he's had, it's still nowhere near what he did in Houston in his last year. He's nowhere near that, and I don't think he's even gotten to the point where he was in Houston prior to that last year. So that's kind of my issue, and why, again, who knows? There is no data for this. There is no history. This is the first time something like this has ever really happened, so we're all kind of guessing here, but I think it's fair to say he's played poorly. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm sure we'll have some takes otherwise, because for whatever reason, Deshaun Watson, no matter who I criticize in the league, the one player I get the most pushback for criticizing is Deshaun Watson, which is a weird thing, and it's annoying. But not to say you can't disagree with me. Of course you can disagree with me. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.